give some parametric report of that, whatever you are looking for, but that cannot be converted into a commercial model, right? And then, what is the difference between a startup and an entrepreneur? Someone might be again contributing something, because most of you are startup and you are also entrepreneur. So definitely you have to give some answer to this vision. Yes. Yes. I'm giving some points here.
I think entrepreneur is someone who solves a problem, and his product or service should be the solution.
So I'm asking, what is the difference between a startup and entrepreneur? Or whether all startups are entrepreneurs, or is there any distinct difference between both these two words? Right? Because why I'm asking this question? Because many a times when we are evaluating the proposals, definitely all are entrepreneur, but when I'm just considering about venture capital part of the financial instrument, then I find it difficult to differentiate whether you are a startup or an entrepreneur, right? So then, if I'll be telling or say the distinct differences, nature. If I'm telling about what is the nature of a startup, then already we are discussing it is innovative, scale. Then in case of entrepreneur, it is just doing a business and how you are arranging the thing. You are doing a grocery business, as Ayush was telling, that can be also an entrepreneur, right? You are doing trading, you are doing something, but that includes again your startups. Startups can be an entrepreneur, but all entrepreneur may not be startup otherwise. Right? It's a very critical matrix to evaluate. But commonly when we are doing something, the process, suppose you are a trader, then you have a process. You buy the thing from a manufacturer and will be going to a place where it is cheaper. How you can first take it to here and sell it to the customer. You have a process, own process. And your process and his process might be different, but still both of you are earning margin, right? But when I'm telling about the startup, it has to be scalable and innovative. And when I'm telling about innovation, I feel Nixon was telling about the black rice products here in Manipur. Once started has created something, then everyone started creating that. And probably, I don't know, in our college days, tissue and Xerox business, everywhere, right? So end of the day, everyone will crash landed. Then mobile phone came, everything wiped out, right? So these are not startups, right? You are starting a business, you are earning a margin. But what I'm telling you about scalable, it is scalable in a sense, and we have to be very careful while we are defining the scalability in case of Northeast. What is the population of Northeast? Do you have any idea? Tell me. I feel we should be proud of our geography, our statistics. It's not about I'm preparing a lecture or I'm attending a class. We are around having 4.5 CR population, right? And out of which 70% of the population is where? Assam. So we are telling that Assam is number one, right? Infrastructurally they are good. But at the same time, if you look at the scale of population, what is the population? It's coming around 3.5 or something. Looking at the demographic dividend, definitely they are having the highest number of startups. 72% of the startups in northeastern region. If you look at the pie in any year, because we are having around 2,478 or something like DPIIT registered startups, right? So out of which 72% are from Assam, and the 7% of these registered startups are from the Manipur. So definitely if you consider the population size and looking at the population size of Manipur, I feel we are relatively in a better shape, right? In terms of percentage, it looks bad because 72% of the total and 7% is, the difference is there. But if you look at the population, 3.50 population, and out of that 72%, and I'm having around 30 something lakh population, and out of which 7%. Then I feel definitely that statistics would be better, right? Means how many persons are there against one startup? I feel definitely we are not in a bad shape. So definitely startup movement and the kind of hybriding environment we are having, not bad. We are in the second rank, that's fine. And remaining 20% of the startups are spreading across all other 6 states. We are having 8 states in India, including Sikkim. But next to you, I feel quickly the number of startups coming up from Nagaland is also very encouraging. There is only 40-50 number of startups, and I feel they are also progressing very fast. 42 to 120 they have achieved, and in your case, I feel because of the socio-political tension here, the progression is a bit sluggish here. So basic difference is that they are scalable, but here it is all kind of businesses we are considering in entrepreneurship, right? Now the second factor, if you look at, focusing on innovation. Innovation shall be one of the basic DNA of startup. Innovation. Why innovation? Because when you are having innovation, you are creating an entry barrier. Like I'm just telling you, issue and Xerox business. No. You are having money, you are having 3 lakhs, you can buy a Xerox machine, you can buy a PCO, and you can next day you can start a business. But if your business model is revolved around an innovation, and that's why I feel Ayush was telling about intellectual property right. Many a times, intellectual property right, again, maybe you may not feel like that I'll be going there and claim for my IPR, but your business model shall be innovative, right from maybe if you are a product company, innovation, again you have to look at product innovation and the process innovation. Product innovation is that you are making something very new, which may be very difficult. Every time getting a new product, maybe television we have done, and then we keep adding on LCD, LED, this screen, but basic product, creating television was an innovation at that point of time. But every time, you may not have a product creation like that, or innovation, but process innovation is possible. Then what is process innovation? Maybe final product is same. You might be going from step 1 to step 5, after crossing 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, right? It takes around 5 days. I'm assuming you are working in an ecosystem or an environment where you have to produce a product, where you take around 5 days to complete the product. If you can have certain innovation in the process, which can give the better product or maybe the same product with reduced time. I'm telling that instead of these 5 days, if you are producing it within 3 days, means you are saving the time, you might be saving the money, and you might be now faster. So these advantages will make startup different from the other businesses. Maybe some other business, your key character might be there in entrepreneurs also, but definitely these are the basic fundamental things what we have to get in case of a startup, right? Then again, when I'm telling about the technology, because technology is not like that you are putting something, you are thinking something and just putting something and product is coming out, right? When you are starting a product, you anticipate that there is a pain statement or pain point, and you try to address those pain areas, and because of which you are making a product or a process. You believe that this product is significantly impacting the life of people. I'm just telling about when we have started Even you can just take a simple example of Swiggy or Zomato. So at that point of time, people started, the founders might be thought that, otherwise it was a traditional business, right? So you call someone and then they will deliver it, but you don't have any reliability at what time they will be dropping it, how they will be dropping it, and whether there will be additional charges involved in the process. That was not mentioned. But when Swiggy Zomato came, they came with a platform, right? Again, Ayush was telling that there is a traditional business model where venture capitalists may not be involved, or they may not like to get into that. But again, I'm just telling you that traditional business might be one of the sources from where you can start the next level of innovation in the process. Otherwise, Dabba delivery in Mumbai is a quite old business, no? Dabba delivery, I feel there are lots of movies, all across. But Swiggy and Zomato are nothing but that is. But you, at that point of time, you don't have a platform where you can see that whether the product is ready or product is coming and how and where it has reached, right? So these, when you have started thinking that, many a time, it may not again become commercially viable. So your risk is more. Means you spend your time, again, if it is really now, everyone is started telling about that why we are getting into product companies, but we have to go more into deep tech companies. But why people don't want to get into deep tech companies? Because it is binary in nature. Again, binary, we use the word binary, means 0 or 1. Either we might be successful, we might be failed. If you are spending your time 8 years, and finally you landed on 0, then you have nothing. And in India, why it is difficult? Because we don't celebrate failure, right? If you started something, you got some grant, then you started doing something, and end of the day, what is going to happen? Everyone will be telling that, "Arey, wo zyada dikhaya tha, abhi dikha." Because you might be lucky enough, then you might reach to Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable. All these people are coming and photo shoot, all are happening, right? So people might be feeling that they have reached to a level, but it is again then it is might be a very risky business. That's why whenever a venture capital is getting into a startup, that's why I'm taking risks. That's why my return has to be more, right? So how you are different from a loan business? Because in case of loan, you are getting the money, you are having the primary security, you are buying a machine, so that is also in the name of the financial institution. You might be having a collateral security. All these things are there. That's why you might be getting at a 7 or 5% interest rate or 10% interest rate or a subsidized one because it is securitized. But in case of venture capital, since I'm not sure about whether tomorrow you are successful or failure, we invest on the dreams or your ideas or maybe something which is half cooked right now. So that's why it is more risky. But at the same time, when I'm just getting into a rigs business, then my return has to be more. This is a simple funda. And at the same time, if you look at the cost of the fund you are getting through a financial institution as a loan, is cheaper than a venture capital. Right? How it is cheaper? Because if you look at my investment, since it is high return is required, I'm taking higher risks. So cost of the capital will be more, means my IRR and all this will be coming later stage once you have started preparing your business model. So against 100 rupees, I might be looking for 15 rupees. Whereas in a loan, they will be giving you 10 rupees, 100 rupees they will be giving at 10 rupees you are getting every year, kind of. Okay? So this is fundamentally basic difference between a startup and a entrepreneur. And why the startup is more aligned to risk business and why venture capital is aligned to more risk business because of these factors. Right. So again, so whether you were a company, whether you were a startup or not, in case of Indian context, it has been defined by DPIIT. So DPIIT is having 3 main criteria: whether the vintage of your enterprise maintaining a legal entity, whether you are a company or an LLP. So whether you have crossed 10 years or not, if you are crossing 10 years, otherwise, in Indian context, you are not a startup. This is number one. And number two, in any of these 10 years, your turnover shall not be more than 100 crore. In any of these 10 years, somehow your revenue is crossing 100 crore, or you are getting 100 crore, then you are no more to be recognized as a startup. And third one is innovative. So it is very difficult to again define innovation, because even lots of pickles, lots of dry fruits companies are also coming as a startup. Maybe there might be some innovation into that. Yeah, definitely I feel that that is an entrepreneurship effort, but it's not an innovative business model. The original entity and innovative scalable annual turnover company has done the original entity in a way that if someone is already a 10 years old company and you are creating a subsidiary out of that and telling them this is a new company, then also it is not considered to be a startup. So these are the basic criteria. One, just telling you that whatever VC funds available in Indian context, and all are Cat 1, Category 1 venture capital fund, because there are three different kind of funds in India. One is Cat 1, Cat 2 and Cat 3, but mostly, and that MSBF is also registered as a Cat 1 fund. So when we are registering our fund with SEBI as a Cat 1 fund, these criteria are one of the criteria we used to look at. Means you might be having your own state registration process, that is fine. And apart from that also, we are looking at these factors. Okay? So this I feel not required to tell, but why I'm just putting this slide here, because of the fact that we should try to understand at what time, what kind of investors we have to look in. So do you know what is called valley of death? This is, you know, right? Almost 90% of the companies used to wiped out in valley of death. So what is that valley of death? This is some basic. I'm just, because already I use Diction tool about what we are looking for, what kind of things are there, but running across the references, I feel that we should know about that valley of death. So what is the valley of death in your journey? Assuming you are a tech company, right? Then what might be your valley of death? So I was requesting in the morning that everyone should be actively take part in this discussion. So either we are too bored.
we select an idea, we work on it, and due to multiple factors, it could not be on the market.
Yes.
With comparison of all profit, compliances, and everything.
So I'm giving you a simple idea. You are correct. I'm giving a simple idea. You are a tech company, suppose. So what is going to happen? You are going to start with bootstrapping, right? Bootstrapping in a sense, bootstrapping in the process where whatever resources you are having
from the family,
from the family, and 3F we generally used to say this: friend, family, and fool. Fool in a sense means they wildly believe that you can do something great. Otherwise, no business model, nothing. He's just throwing an idea that I can do that. But looking at him, his capability, his might be basic education, qualification, everything, he believed that he can do it. And definitely we have seen this example, even one of our startup where we got our exit, which has been acquired by an US NASDAQ traded company. They exited from the company because entire strategic buyout happened to the company. So NASDAQ traded that company was Quantum Corp, who bought the company, right? So once they are selling the company, then they are now don't involve with the process, because now Quantum Corp is taking care of that. Now what they are doing, now everyone, because three founders, co-founders were there, Now everyone is starting a new enterprise or startup. Now what is happening, those who had earlier invested, that earlier company which has sold and giving return to them, to the investors, now just they are coming with a concept. I'm telling that I want to do that, but these people, since they believe them, that they had given a exit earlier, returned their money with certain good returns, now they are ready to invest into that company. They are not looking at the balance sheet, they are not looking at anything. So that's why the triple F is coming from that. Maybe then a friend might be attracted because last time also he had invested into your startup when he was a friend of your college days, right? So at this value of date, suppose you are starting a very tech company where you might be hiring 2-3 engineers also, or maybe someone, but at that point of time your product is not ready to go to market. So end of the day, as someone was asking, my balance sheet or my P&L is negative, then that is the, I feel, occurrence of your value of debt. And almost 80%, even if you look at the Silicon Valley also, I'm telling about where startups journey and movement happened in US, even in that case, almost 60 to 70% to 80% wiped out in that space. Either you were not able to convince your investors who are supposed to become at that stage, or maybe by the time you realized that my product may be no more going to sell in a market, or might be a better product already reached in the market, right? But mostly because of the financial resources, this happens. So at this stage, this is the early, if you consider this is the pre-seed funding, but definitely we are lucky enough. Even if you look at 4, 5, 6 years before, at that point of time we don't have that kind of ecosystem, but at least now many of you are able to get the grant, which is also helping you, right? So these are the factors what you have to look in, and that's why I'm just putting that first seed funding. Maybe I feel if you considered about MSBF, then we are coming into that seed funding stage, right? Little bit of revenue you have started. Somehow you have proved that your technology might going to have traction or already got some traction, already accepted by people. But you need to make it more, acceptable for the people, or might be you need to sense the design, or you need to sense some basic finishing part of that. So that might be seed funding, and after that you have to go up. Then mezzanine stage, ideally, so far we are also not experiencing that kind of funding in our journey, but it's happened mostly just before happening IPO or maybe in a short-term debt funding. So this is, that's why I'm just, otherwise Dixon has given that. So venture capital, I feel no need to tell about that. So it's otherwise here government of India is helping or state governments are helping in creating venture fund. But typically if you look at venture capital industry, it is a privately drawn resources. I might be having lots of money, high net worth individual. You might be looking at Tata, you might be looking at Wipro, everyone is having Mahindra, everyone is having a kind of family house fund who used to invest into new businesses and also take part in the growth business. And similarly, if you look at this other across the globe, now Bill Gates is one of the so all the technocrats are mostly in US. Trend is different. Rather than business, technocrats are also very much part of the startup journey. So they also used to invest. So, but otherwise, these are your privately drawn money. So again, so you have to think about, so I'm an investor. So what are the basic few things you have to look at just before approaching, or you have to read my mind. So I'm just putting that. So while reading my mind, so you have to align with these few factors, risk versus return. You have to tell that risk is there, but return is also there. You have to make me convinced with that, right? You cannot say that, ki, sir, if you don't give money, then I will wipe out. I will die out. So already that's a broken vehicle or business. So why are we getting into that, right? So you have to show me the rosy picture. Sir, if you drive with me, then you'll be reaching there within 5 hours. Otherwise, it will take 20 years. Means that within 5 hours means that is my return expectation within that period. So I have to think about what is the time horizon, because when I'm just giving you money in the form of loan, because I have a loan policy, you are going to give me principal amount, you have to give me interest, everything. But in case of venture capital, when I'm taking and I'm assuming that I'm getting equity in your company, until and unless you are not getting your next round of investment or not growing fast, you cannot give me an exit. So that's why in our industry we call that, we used to think about divorce before marriage. Right? I have to see my exit route. Then only I will be investing into that. Right? So you have to tell that I'm going to give you an exit. Whatever your return expectation, definitely you might be telling a bit more, but at least you have to have that commitment that you think that whenever you are taking money, you are going to return with desired expectation of the investors. Right? Then value creation, when I'm telling about value creation, what is a value creation? When I'm telling about value creation, you have to tell that whenever I am at this stage, right now I am serving to 500 people, then when you give me money, and I will apply my money into these XYZ heads of my business, then my traction will be now going to scale up from 500 to 5,000. Right? Otherwise, you can also tell that ideally this is the money requirement. If I have to do the business in a format which is most prevalent in that area, but you are telling that this is my innovation. If you apply 500 rupees into my business, then my growth in the business will be 5x. Means 500 will be bringing to 2,500. So that is the value proposition you are having. You have to tell that what kind of traction you are going to have, and with the limited resources you are having, how you are going to scale up to the next level. And at the same time, you are going to tell that how I am going to give you an exit from the business. Okay? And otherwise, venture capitalists are like your co-driver. So they will be helping you to drive the car, not to control the car. So they might be telling that if you are really running fast, venture capitalists will be sitting next to your seat, to the driver's seat, and tell that you are running really fast, slow down. They might be telling that no, this is road is very ruffle, you have to go very slow, so that there is no impact on the vehicle. So ideally, that is the responsibility of a venture capitalist. Though I'm just telling about that risk, return, and all these factors, but basically, venture capital is also part of co-creating a business. It is not about giving a money or certain amount of money. It is more about bringing quality money to the company. That is the actual role of a venture capitalist. Okay, that is that I had put in the last slide. Yes, that passionate entrepreneur means you have to come to me, and that I already told you, sir, I'm going to die out, I'm wiped out if you don't give money. That should not be. You have to be passionate. Many things you have done, many things you have not done, but you need to have a passion. Then definitely business potential and all these things you know. Management, great management team. Why I'm just telling you about that, most of the startups we are investing, we feel that we fail to create a great team. Definitely at the early stage of the business, you might be working with alone, or might be one or two friends of yours might be coming together and helping you creating the business. But you cannot be master in all the aspects. You might be a good scientist, you might be very good in marketing, but you may not have the all 360 view of entrepreneurial journey, right? Initially, when your traction is very less, you are having negative cash flow, that's fine. But even after funding, because we are investing into many companies whose traction is also great, also they are able to raise the fund in the subsequent rounds, but many a time we feel that startups, basically founders don't like to create a great team. They want to be master in all. Accounting kya hai dekha jayega. It shall not be. And many a time even what is happening, there is a concept called dilution of your stake. Right now, two of you might be coming together and you might be holding 50%. Investor came in, they might be taking 10%. But you have to be flexible enough if you are, because at that point of time, you cannot going to get a great engineer in your company. You cannot attract them. Because why? Because you can't give them the money what they might be getting in the market, right? At that point of time, what you are going to do is that you are going to offer that if you are going to work with me, I'm also going to give you 5% of my stake in a company, right? So, if you even look at all the business papers, everything, either if you want to be the boss in a company, that's fine, then it is an almost normal course of action. Even I'm not telling that startup does not have that kind of history where individual guy is managing everything. But if you really want to be boss in a company, then ideally it impacts your growth. Because you want to learn, you don't want to dilute. An investor might be looking at that, he doesn't want to grow, he wants to grow organically. So that might be one of the deterring factor for an investor to get into the company. Why? If you don't have that flexibility, you cannot raise money, then you cannot give me an exit. But at the same time, if you look at the concept, what is going on even in a valleys also, I'm telling about, mostly we refer to Silicon Valley, what is happening, where co-founder or founders are more interested in creating value creation in a company, they are hiring good people, best people from the market, spending money. That can give you a quicker exit to an investor, but definitely you might be losing your ownership. Because once you are getting diluted, your stake is diluted in the company, then gradually you have to be one day exited from the company. So we cannot think about that, especially in Indian context. Because we are too much love with it's your baby kind of, right? You cannot say that I will just sell my baby to someone. We are in that mentality, but which is totally different in a startup ecosystem. So it's up to you how you just think of your business, because as an investor, I don't have to intervene in that. Whether you own the business or whether you want to dilute yourself and grow fast, just by getting better people into the company, right? Then growing market opportunity, scale up. All these are there. So next slide, just I'm putting here this thing. This is, I got during my COVID time, Dhruvnath and Sushanto, I feel funding your startups, that persistent definition of startup was told to be one of the, I feel everyone should look into that, because somehow I like that. I'm not telling that you should do that. Problem, art is solving a problem. Many of them, why I'm just telling you the first problem statement, because when you are going to face the investors, they used to ask, what is your problem statement? But in most of the cases we have seen, you already made the product and try to now retrofit the problem statement, right? So we heard the story, my father was that, and because of which I started thinking that why not I can have a great product, kind of stories. But actually you have already decided that this product has to be made, and then since investors are asking what is the problem statement you are addressing, then we started creating a synthesizing rather than a problem statement. So until and unless people are not ready for addressing, not ready to pay you, if you don't address a valid problem statement for the customers. So earning model, definitely you have to earn. Many a times we have even seen our startups, they're telling that I have to go for marketing, give me fun, but end of the day when I'm just stopping the fun in marketing, there is no revenue happening. So, but how long you are going to keep burning your money into a business where end of the day you cannot reach to a stage from where you have to reduce your burn and earn more, right? So you have to tell that story that you have an earning model, right? Then how big is the size of your market? Just think about. Most of the time, because since we go to all these programs, especially different programs arranged by different ecosystem players, we see lots of product which are even maybe handmade or pickles, all these things I have already told. They are also telling that I'm startup. So, and if I ask them, so where is your market? I'm having this market, I go to exhibition, I sell that. That's fine. You might be having 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs of revenue. Are you really having a big market to address, or your product is really having the potential to address the big market? It is very easy for selling a product if you are going to the exhibition, because that product is having a character. That character is what? Your face, right? So since you are telling the people, you are telling that I am coming from Senapati, I am coming from Tamenglong, and that wild product is found here, and out of that I made a pickle, people might be having a bias to buy that product. They might be thinking that, yeah, I should buy that product is maybe I feel. They can relate when you were explaining. But you just minus that character and just keep that product in the shelf. Are they really going to buy? Even the guy who had bought that 2 months back, if he got it in a supermarket, he or she may not like to buy that product. So Cadbury's, no one knows about that. Who is Cadbury's? How it came? But you have a confidence, right? When I'm buying a Cadbury's product, when it is something that. Then again, I'm coming back to the how big size of your market. Just so that's I'm just telling about. That market might be, you might be selling very good at your nearbys. But if you make a product for your periphery or for a part of your geography, that may not be a scalable product, right? You did not taste what is the scalability. So tomorrow you might be telling that this product is very good, but if I need 1,000 pieces of that product, you will be struggle with your backend, the raw material. We have seen that. So these are a few factors. You have to just rethink about that. Whether your enterprises or kind of idea or innovation you are having is really qualifying few of these criteria. Do you feel, I'm not telling that these are the final judgment for an investor to look in, but definitely these will give that periphery of your business so that you can just think about that. That might be act as a reflector of your effort, that your business can be scalable or maybe qualified for. I'm not going to more explanation about that finance determine these are all being covered by Nixon. But these are few of the things. I'm taking it from Harvard Business School review. So key elements of business proposal. This article was by, I have this book, William A. Salam. So he is telling 4 different components which shall be the key components of a business proposal. The first preference he has given to the people. People means the founders or the co-founders. He is telling that no matter what kind of financial projection we are discussing about projections or whatever maybe little revenue you are having, but until and unless people are not good are not very determined or they are not resourceful, then your money may not be at safe end. If the investors are looking at the, even if the founders may not be successful. I'm telling about that all founders, all startups are not successful. But if really it's a great team of people, then anyway they will make your money, make money for you and they will return the money. So that's why people is the most integral component of a business, and which also one of the basic, criteria for an investors. Investors may not tell you about that, but they will be looking at what is your qualification. They will be looking at whom you know. They will look at what is your past experiences. Do you have any red flagging? Even what Ayush was telling about the due diligences, these due diligence components are looked before, many of them before by investors just going to the market. Because this globe is very small. If I just ask anyone, then indirectly I'll be getting your information, right? So people is the most important component. So you have to be very much careful on that, that really you can represent yourself before the investors. But in a business proposal, again, that I already told you, there are two questions he told that to be asked. What is the size of the total market? Many a time what is there? There is already an existing market. So, you have to go there and you have to play. And many a time, a product might be reaching into a market before time. I'm just giving, I used to give example people about dishwasher, which took around 35 years to become a product to be used in a household. Even mobile phone took another 10 years from its initial use to become a commercially viable product. So at what time you are arriving, are you really getting into a crowded market? That's why we used to tell people that what is the entry barrier. If the market is too crowded, then it's very difficult for you to get a small pie out of that, right? If market is, so why every time I'm telling about pickle, because everyone can make it. So it's a crowded market. So to make something different, it has to be different, right? So if you're getting into, if your product is addressing or targeting those kind of things, then I feel that is one of the good points for your business. But if you're already crowded market, you are getting into that, then almost it's a negative impact to your business. And the second is the industry is become structurally attractive. Why I'm just telling about that is because of the fact that now everyone is trying to get into the EV sector, right? Everyone is telling about EV, all these things. So maybe this is structurally important. Government is giving subsidy. There might be some regulatory compliances. Even there might be some other policy decisions taken by the government, because of which maybe for an entrepreneur it might be very easy to get into that space, having less hurdle than other business. Even if you tomorrow get into a crypto business, that might be difficult for you, because it is regulatory environment is not that suitable for Indian context, right? So you also, as an entrepreneur or a startup, you have to look at what may be the regulatory requirement or how attractive that business is. Does government is also part of the entire ecosystem which determines the profitability of the business, right? So this is the context is also part of that. How it is structurally this part, if you get into the next thing, this is the context. But don't forget that market is very fickle as it is unpredictable. So today, if you are making a product, if you cannot supply to the stores, then tomorrow, maybe again something will be coming to replace your product. And the final one, this is part of your business model, business proposal, risks and reward. Here are few of the factors I'm just giving. Risk management, you should not tell that I don't have any risks. Because risks is always evolving. Today something is not here, but you have to better try to tell the investors that risks is evolving. Maybe it is coming out of the regulatory aspects, or it might be coming of technology threat, but you have to tell that we have a proper risk management system which can address the evolving risk condition. So don't deny. Many times we get that, we ask that, is there any risk? No sir, we don't have any risk. But you don't. Even I don't know. Even we don't know what is going to happen after 5 minutes, then how you can say that your business doesn't have any risk, right? So these are the few factors. Exit options, all this already I have discussed. Risk reduction, maybe you can say that if you are working, risk reduction is one of the factors you have to look at. So what is that? If you are working in a B2B, and if you are, suppose you are earning 50 lakhs of revenue, and it has been contributed by only to B2B client, right? Then if suddenly someone withdraws from the business, your contract, then your reduction in the revenue will be 50%, right? So what you can say is that I have diversified. I am not relying on only one B2B contract. I'm having 20 different options, which me already I have discussed. You give me the money so that I can reach out to that. So that you can diversify your risks extremely depending on only one to B2B clients. So these are the few things you have to look in. And last one, again I'm just telling you, as we assume that you pitch the ideas to the investor, and I'm saying okay, that I'm ready to invest, but might be that is one of the most critical requirement for your business, but try to look at whether what kind of expertise that investor is going to bring into your business. What is the quality of money? You might be going to any trader and getting them money, but is it going to help you? If you feel that yes, definitely it is going to help me making full profit of my business, you go and get it. But ideally venture capitalists shall have the basic DNA and character to co-create a business. If you feel that it is not about basic agreement, it is not about only giving money, but if you feel that definitely I am going to make fee for the MSBF with a strong conviction that it is not about giving us money, but also they are going to help us creating contact. They are also going to help us taking me to the from point A to point B, also giving me connect. Then better you come to us. If you feel that you don't relate that, that is not going to happen to us. You might be feeling they are like government agencies, so what they are going to do? They are not going to go and get out of the comfort zone. But if you get smaller amount with a higher dilution in your company, but you feel that they are going to help you to reach to a level, fulfill your milestones or the desired direction of what you want, they are giving you a strategic connect with someone, then rather than taking once year you get 50 lakhs and get the expertise of these people with a higher dilution. Right. So enough for today. Thank you very much. Everything is overloaded. And next time we are going to hear some beautiful lessons from your side. Because this time it is one-sided. Next time probably there might be lots of other things coming from your side. And we all will be learning together.
So one small question.
Yes.
So can we have the full slide?
Yeah.
Just a glimpse.
No worries. Thank you. And yeah, tell me.
So we've been talking about this startup system in India, and as per the newspaper, startup has been shut down in all these big major metro cities. Okay.
Yeah.
So the dynamism is that in North just starting. The fire just started.